What's going on, guys? Alec here from Fury Gaming. Today I'm here to talk about Escape from Tarkov. Now, Escape from Tarkov is a hardcore first-person shooter that has been developed via crowdfunding, the Russian mob who are doing it, and in my opinion doing quite a good job of it. The game is based around playing with what they call a private military contractor, and this is done through either being what they call a bear, which is the Russian side, or a UESCC, which is sort of like the American Western side of things. Now, besides playing the private military contractor, you can also play a scav. Now, a scav lets you go in, it gives you a random loadout, you go and kill stuff. As when you play PMC, it's a full loadout of your own, but if you go into the game you die, you lose everything unless it's insured. Now, you can't insure stuff for the scav, only for your PMC, but we'll talk about insurance later when we actually jump into a raid. Now, the PMC guys are great because, well, basically you can actually go in and take a melee weapon, and if you die you actually don't lose it ever, which is nice. As with the scavs, if you get out with your stuff, right, if you actually escape the raid, or escape from Tarkov, you can actually keep the gear that you get. So there's just a few different gameplay mechanics. The scav though, you can only play every 30 minutes once you either escape or die. So on the character side of things, we have a few different components. As we can see here, you have a whole inventory of gear. You have a helmet, a headgear, armor vest, as well as two long weapon slots, a pistol slot, and there's that melee weapon that I was talking about before. So the melee weapon comes different for UESCC or the bear. We have a scav vest up top, which is our utility vest where you put your magazines. You have pockets, which you always have. Then you have here your backpack, so you can get different size backpacks. At the moment I'm running a tea bag, which is what you generally get from scavs. Now you have I guess the bigger size backpack, so the correlating size of the backpack that it takes up in your inventory is how much space you can actually hold in that backpack. So we have the Pilgrim backpack, which is probably the largest that I've seen, and then you get your helmet gear, which is one of the types there, as well as that's what body armor looks like. And then you get different sorts of guns, like I was saying too, with long arms. So you get shotguns, you get semi-auto shotguns, you get what I've equipped at the moment, which is the AKM, all other sorts of interesting pieces of gear. So we have the gamma crate here, by the way, and this is something that you can take in and only you can access. So if you die, anything in this crate you will actually take back with you out of the raid. So when you go in and you haven't got much gear, they do what they call hatchet runs, which is where you literally take your melee weapon and nothing in your inventory and you go and pick up gear. So as we can see on the top left hand of the AKM, by the way too, that's an insured sign, meaning that this gun has been insured. So just because you insure it for a raid and then you come out of the raid, the insurance doesn't wear off, it actually stays on that gun at all times. Makes it fairly handy in my opinion. Now there are guns that are more rare to buy or harder to buy. For example here, the SV98 or the M4A1, and they are from different traders, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. So besides the weapons, guys, there's also a health system. So every body part has a health applied to it. Now besides losing damage from this health, you can also get blood loss, which is damage over time. You can get fractures, so you can't walk on that leg as fast or anything like that. You also get pain, so even though you get shot, you might not be blood loss, but you can get into a lot of pain, which will make it harder to walk or aim, like you start shaking a bit. So use different components of the healing system to fix that. For example, use bandages for blood loss. You use splints to help fractures, and then you have this AI2, which is a healing pack, which is really small. Here we have a Grizzly Med pack, which has multiple things, so it has bandages and other stuff inside of it as well. Now we have skills, so you level up in the game and that allows you to access better weapons from your traders, but also too it helps you to run the game better. So for example here in Vitality, we have less chance of getting blood loss because I've leveled that up. Same goes for the stress resistance or anything like that. It allows for things to not happen, if that makes sense. You know, it negates a lot of issues, especially when you first start off and you start getting shot at. Your character gets stressed, so it's harder to focus. The screen goes all crazy, your aiming goes all crazy. So leveling that up really helps a lot. Now besides your health, you also have hydration and energy. So the hydration literally can be cured by water or any other sort of drink, and then same with the energy, you eat food or anything like that, and that will help with that. The next two tabs I want to show you guys is the map tab, which is basically just showing the factory map. That's the one I have at the moment. And then tasks, which allows you to get the renown of traders up by doing tasks for them. Now the last thing that I find this game to be very unique about is the modding. So for example, in PUBG or another game like that, where you can go in and you put grips on, you put scopes on, that sort of stuff, it's cool, but I always felt like with those games they don't actually impact the way it would work. So yes, putting a full grip on, say, the M416 does help in game on PUBG, but I don't feel like it gives the stability that the gun should have. So what we have here is the inspection menu, which allows you to inspect all the different components of the gun, and you can swap them out for different pieces. For the scope, for example, you can buy different pistol grips, you can buy different scope mounts, you can buy different barrels for certain guns as well. A whole range of different things occur here. So the other cool part of the game that comes to modding is actually bringing these guns and putting them into the 3D art and being able to go around, click on them and change the components that's in game. So on this M4 A1 here, for example, we can get in there, we can actually change a whole bunch of components thanks to a lot of attachment rails I've got going here, and do a few other cool things with it. Now some components can actually be changed in a raid, for example sights or anything that's basically attached to a rail, or suppressors for example. So that sort of stuff's pretty cool. Now moving on from here guys, we actually go and have a look at the traders. So in the traders we have Referral here, who sells in Russian guns, so your AKs, that sort of gear. We get the therapist who sells meds. We get the fence who sells all sorts of random stuff. Now I believe it's like a community market, so if you sell things from there it comes up for sale. I'm not 100% sure. We get Skier who sells scav stuff, so your pump action shotguns and things. Then we get the Peacekeeper who sells all the American reguns. So we'll take a look at Prapor for example. And as we can see here, I can buy a variety of things. Now when this video was taken, I'm level 2 or loyalty level 2 with him. So you can buy this AK-74N, the AKS-74U, or a lot of other different guns. Now if you look at the tier 1 stuff, that's all you can get. So it's not too much. That's what everyone really starts out with. But yeah, as you go up through your levels, you get better loyalty level by doing your tasks for him. You have to spend money with him as well to get that level up, as well as actually have experience levels up. So it's not just a simple pay to win sort of game, because you can buy different game packages, being a self-funded game, through that community funding. So yeah, nice stuff. And as we can see here, we have the MP5 for example, all other sorts of guns that the Peacekeeper sells, and yeah, it's pretty cool. A lot of the stuff is not expensive, but it does cost a bit, because by the time you do the conversion rate from rubles to American dollars to buy this gear, it can be quite up there. Now you can sell stuff to these traders, you don't just have to buy stuff. So there's a dollar value attached to everything, or ruble value, whatever. Now you can get euros as well. Haven't actually seen anything you can buy with euros yet, but we'll just take it as it goes. So it's not all about cash as well, you do trading. So for example here for this backpack, we need a HDD to actually acquire that. So there's a sort of thing that comes along with this game too. Now I'm just going to jump over defense quickly guys before we get into the raid. And what I want to show off here is the fact that he's got all these different guns. Now note to the guns here that are red, that means they're incomplete, so they're missing components such as the receiver, or might need a pistol grip or whatever to actually make the guns operate, or a barrel. So these sorts of things are what you've got to look out for when you buy it. They are cheaper, but they only really work if you have the parts to go in them. So with that being said and done, let's go jump into a raid shell. So to start off a raid, you've got to select Escape from Tarkov. You come in, select whatever map you want. So we'll go Customs, for example, this moment. But there are 4 different maps: Shoreline, Woods, Factory, and then the Customs. Factory is pretty intense. It's a really small map with a lot of people. Customs is really hard because there's a lot of places to hide and a lot of things that can come and grab you. So it gets kind of scary. They have 2 different time zones as well, as we can see in the bottom here. So you can go day or night, and then you get different weather conditions. So you can go in, you can actually do a PvP or PvE mode, so you don't actually have to verse people. You can go in there and practice. This will eventually be phased out as the full game starts to come online. It's just allow early testers to get a hands-on experience with the game and practice things, especially too as the servers start to work itself on. Now when it comes to insuring stuff, as you can see here, all you got to do is literally click on it, and it tells you the cost to insure that item. Now to insure an item does not mean it will come back. It just means if you die and no one else takes it, it means it will come back to you within a 24 to 36 hour period at the moment. So for example, this AKM, I've lost it before, but because it wasn't really that done up, no one really wanted it, so it came back to me, which I'm quite happy with. I like the AKM Vepr. So we'll ensure that magazine, and we'll keep going. Now here is where you can come and actually group up. So you can have up to 5 different people on customs, including yourself, where you can go in and you will spawn together and you can go and wreak havoc. Now, that's the only partying up system, which I think is nice, because once you die in game, you come back to the main screen, you can't watch your buddies, you can't do stuff like that. So what we have here is myself in the raid on customs where I've spawned in. So I'm just checking stuff out. Now I'm going to be quiet for most of the video, but I just want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, there is no HUD, as you can notice, no bullet count, no anything like that. The only thing that will come up for you is if you get hit, it tells you where you're hurt and how bad you're hurt if you have blood loss. For example, in the bottom left hand corner here as well, we have our stance if we're sitting, standing, proning, whatever. Also too, you have a breath meter to tell you how well your character is in regards to breathing. So when you're sprinting, when you're trying to hold still like we are now, aiming down sights, that sort of thing. So moving forward from here, this is what loot looks like. In military crates, you can find jackets, you can find bags, you can find gear just sitting out on the open by itself. So as you can see here, I'm putting this gear into my gamma crate, so if I do manage to lose anything, it will come back with me if I die. But that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoy the video. I'm going to be, like I said, keeping quiet so you get a full understanding of what it's like to go into a raid by yourself and do things, and just the pure eeriness of the game that it carries as you do go through it, and how there's just no sounds except for the birds chirping or being killed. Catch you later, guys. Toodaloo.